Welcome for another episode of the Wood Couture Podcast, the incredible India designer series, recording live at the JW Marriott, Mumbai. And today we have the absolute pleasure to welcome a rising star, in the India design community, the one and only Sharmin Wade.
Thank you so much.
Welcome. I know it's not just you. You are one of the co-founder of SB Studio together with Soumitra.
Yeah.
So it's two of you, but today we are the pleasure only having you.
Right.
Which is fantastic. I want to start, and our audience are very curious people.
Right.
I know you come from a legacy. Your father been in the industry for 3 decades and plus.
Yeah.
And but what prompted you to go into architecture?
So honestly speaking, it's the environment that I had been brought up into. Honestly, my dad is the first person I would say. And the environment around that I've been in influenced a lot of art and culture in terms of how the designs come up ultimately. And I am a travel freak. So something that also, is a part of how architecture has shaped into and how I got into architecture actually. And I'll honestly speak, it's actually since the 8th grade, likewise, like even Soumitra, uh, we both had this thing of getting into architecture long back. We got to know it later once we were together. But yeah, that's since the beginning. If it was architecture, it is since my 8th grade and it was only that.
Right. I love your website. I went there and the first sentence that come out is, we create, we believe, we love.
True.
And, amazing. 3 words and that says it all.
So it's a young firm. We are just 5 years in the industry. And talking about that, in the architecture front, we have around 15 to 20 million square feet of ongoing work and around 28 projects currently. And in various paradigms, if you see, it's ranging from residential, commercial, institutional, etc. From small residential structures to around 200-meter tall buildings that we're currently designing. And we plan to shape in skylines of Mumbai and definitely do something like a trademark in the industry on the architecture front. And obviously in the interior segment, if you see, we are into luxury interiors. And around 22 projects delivered in like last 3 years, and around 6 in the pipeline to be delivered this year. So yeah, a lot of buckle going on.
Very busy. Yeah, very busy guys, and it seems for all the interview I read, you complement each other quite well.
So it's a balance, honestly speaking. He's a very extraordinary talented person. Likewise, he's more futuristic in approach and I'm more traditional and contextual in approach. So what happens is there has to be some kind of balance in the way we design and how the output ultimately comes up. So yeah, so it's just the balance that we create, the both of us. And I feel that's keeping us where we are today, and we plan to do much better things.
I saw in an interview you define yourself like a social butterfly. What does it mean?
So honestly speaking, besides work, I love to interact with people. I love to talk to them. There's always something that's upcoming, like a social event. And to be honest, the credit goes to the family that I am in. So it's just like one get together and we are 80 people.
Oh, it's a huge party.
Yeah. And then having friends and friends of friends and etc. So it becomes like a very busy planning evening after the work also. So there are a lot of gatherings, there are a lot of events that have to be attended, there are a lot of things that we have to attend and in fact be a part of, So yeah, love to meet people, love to engage with them. And I think that is one of the plus points for me because I get to know clients better in that way. And also we develop a mutual relationship.
Right.
So yeah, so it gets easier.
Very nice. And along your journey, of course, you talk about your father, but beside family, have you had somebody that you looked up as a mentor or somebody that giving you advice?
Honestly speaking, it's a lot of people who have influenced me in a very professional way in terms of not only architecture, but in terms of how disciplined you have to be at work, or how management is to be thought of. Also, they are among our relatives only, and we're close family. But yeah, my father's been my role model always.
What is the best advice he's given you?
You have to be happy. Unless you be happy, you cannot give the output in your design, and you cannot give justice to it. So unless things make you happy, do not show to the client. Or, you do not have to go and fetch out for things, work hard, give 20 other options. But unless you are happy with that, you won't be able to justify it to the client. So stay happy and give your best is something that I have taken from him.
You mentioned again at the interviews. It's funny because I read so many of your interviews, and it's incredible the names that pop up. And the two names stood in my mind: Charles Correa and Laurie Baker.
Charles Correa, Laurie Baker. Like I said, I am a little towards the context. So how my designs also are user centric and contextual play. So a lot of it that is inspiring from Charles Correa and Jeffrey Bawa or like anybody you would say, but architects who usually design with context, something that is very minimal, approachable, at the same time that reflects true, is what I believe in. And I have seen that come up in my designs also. And we use that philosophy in general a lot in our firm. Something that is user centric, user friendly, at the same time is contextual, given that whatever environment context that you are supposed to design in, and at the same time sustainable to the climate as well. So all of these things come into picture, and that's how we design.
Wow.
Yeah.
And amazing. And it's now I want to ask you a question, because when I read this, I was like, wow. That was actually my reaction. Wow. You deliver a project in 20 days. The new Dhaka? Danka?
The News Dunker.
News Danka?
So it's a commercial.
20 days. How did you do it?
So when you are in Mumbai and you have projects that need to be completed in the deadline, there is no day and night. There is no labor shift and no hours, labor hours. You have to work hard. You have to deliver potentials, and you have to go out of your way to do everything. So this is our commercial project that we delivered in a span of 20 days, working day and day night, approaching things, approaching different vendors, getting things from all other places that we could, get in touch with people, and finding out vendors who were readily available at the time and willing to go work beyond their hours as well. So it was a collaborative process of all together, even the vendors, even us, and then the client supporting us, giving us extra hours to work, because it was in the commercial premises. We had only limited hours. So how do you manage factory work with your office work? And then together with that, we also had 3 other projects going on. So how do you manage everything was a big task, but definitely we delivered I am sure you must have seen the project. Great output, and client was also happy with it.
Well, it's incredible, because nowadays one of the biggest complaints from the design community is that clients don't give enough time to think. Because you guys are creative, you need to, get your creativity from everyone.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting. For this project, the planning and execution went hand in glove together, because we did not have that much period of time to think and then manipulate on the ideas, get in different thoughts. So everything was like best put forward and best done in that much time. So yeah, a very challenging process, but a lot of things that we had to take care of. So it's basically a news portal that we've designed. So, taking care of how the audiovisual community is going to function, how the editor community is going to function, then how podcast rooms have to be designed, how the working areas have to be designed. So everything was properly planned, zoned, everything put together. And I think it was just 4 people working together on that project, and everything then just turned out to be great.
Would you define that as your proudest project, or how many more there are out there? Everyone is unique, I'm sure, but
so yeah, every project will make us proud, because there is a USP in every project we design. So obviously that was one of the proud start. And then we had a long way. We've also delivered a residential 1750 square feet carpet project in 18 days time period. And I think another one coming up now. But yeah, we are into and
You guys are Fast and Furious. You should shoot a movie, Fast and Furious, in the
So
design
definitely, when it
community.
comes to this, there are things that take time for particular. Like for example, paint takes that many days, POP takes that many days. We definitely try and work out the way best so that the materials can be studied and accordingly used in the project. So we also have a different study for it, wherein if it is a quick delivery, what kind of materials should go, because later then we do not need any complaints about it. So yeah, a definite study goes with how we imply onto the things also.
How important is storytelling in your design?
So I believe that every project is a story and every project should have a story. Otherwise, there is no context to it. So one of the primary aspects of every project, likewise, when we design also, should have a story like a navigated path that will take you through the project and will understand spaces accordingly. So I think that will also relate more to how the client is, understanding the context of the client, the space, etc. And then you generate a story out of it, and then you build that story so that the client is also convinced in that way, and also it's a product output. So I feel story to every project is very important and a very crucial thing for us to design. We understand space better, we will be able to justify it more. So yeah, it's like a very important thing to me.
I, Before you, we had one of your industry colleagues, and he said, "I'm an old timer. When I get a new job, I take a pencil and I start sketching." So that's how you take inspiration. How do you take inspiration?
Being in a millennial age, I still am an old school person. I still have a lot of tracings and gateways, butter papers coming up through a project. It's piled. Every project will start with a scribble. And ultimately, then it'll go on to any software that we use. But yeah, a lot comes with spaces. Like I mentioned, I love traveling. So a lot of things to take from, a lot of things to get inspired from. So definitely a lot of sketches that in case you have to go back to the library, we have a very beautiful library in our office.
Wow.
So in case you have to go back to the library, you just happen to go through some books and then you sketch something out of it, and that is reflected in one of the projects. And it's just is an amazing piece there or something like that. We definitely work with everybody working on one conference table together, having ideas put together, and then we come up with beautiful sketches that will be then developed. So yeah, it's a very collaborative effort, everybody together, and then we'll work on individually.
Is SB Studio more architecture or interiors? What is the main
So like I
service?
said, we balance. Soumitra looks more onto the architecture front and I look more onto the interior firm.
Very
Front.
good.
So yeah, it's a balance. We work hand in glove together. Also, I'm interested in a lot of architecture projects wherein he's interested in interiors, but then we lead it in that way. So it's a balance firm. We also are working on urban projects. A lot of them coming up in Goa, Bangalore,
Oh, wow.
Pune, etc. So yeah,
Across the India.
we plan to.
Yeah, but you did the international project, I guess.
Yeah, so it was in collaboration with one of the developers in Glasgow, and yeah, this is a proposed waterfront water park area that we are proposing in France, and yeah, a lot of design research and output has come up to a phase wherein it's at an approval stage with the mayor right now, and we've also proposed a few villas in Kuwait, waiting for how these things turn up now. It's in the design phase for now.
Fantastic. You're already going internationally. Who knows in 5 years' time where you're going to be?
True. So this is just a journey of 5 years. We look ourselves globally and internationally present everywhere across, like wherever our wings can spread and have its potential.
Wow. What would be yours and Sumitra, say, not dream, because you achieve a lot already, but what would be the ultimate goal in the next 10 years? What would you like to see SB Studio?
So Studio SB as a whole has just we are very curious young minds. So we have a very differentiative experiences that lead us to one potential way of working it out. We want to develop beautiful skylines, and we want to create spaces which are going to make the user happy. So our dream, I wouldn't say it would be a dream, but definitely to have something like a trademark in the skyline of Mumbai, of other cities, and also have a global presence everywhere. So yeah, definitely creating trademarks would be like our dream.
You started very early, guys. You said the 8th grade. So, and you already achieve a lot. Imagine in the next 10 years where you're going to be unstoppable. And um, everybody talks about artificial intelligence now, AI,
Right.
and particularly within the design community. What's your views?
So AI, I would say, is a supportive tool more than it. People say usually it's taking over the industry, etc. But ultimately, when it comes to how you feel, AI cannot feel that. It cannot make you feel the space unless it's been felt. So that medium of feeling the space is basically us. So how to use? Definitely, you can use AI as a tool. There are various tools which can improvise your way of thinking. They can improvise your way of uh, having approaches, or maybe giving you design inputs and broadening your perspective and vision, rather than it taking your platform away. So I am of the opinion, you take the help of AI, build your own thing, and then you create your own thing, because AI is not going to create the direct medium. So that feeling of space is very important for me, which I feel that AI is not going to take, even if there are so many advances in the system. It's basically how it's going to act like a supported tool, and how you have to be a player, use those tools, and get your footsteps on and work out in the industry. So,
You
yeah.
guys using AI within the studio, or what's
We
your
do use a
situation?
lot of AI tools, maybe for presentations, maybe for developing 3D models or realistic renders. Definitely, yes. But ultimately, how you're doing it in practical life is supportive to the context again, like I said. So all those things come up, but yeah, it's us working ultimately with the context.
Right. Um, in the context of hospitality, you know, what do you think are the challenging nowadays of designing interiors for hospitality properties?
So there is a lot of competition. There is a particular vibe that's set. We have expands growth in this segment of hospitality in terms of everything, because there is exposure to so many other things as well. So one of the challenging things which we have recently faced is sometimes the budget. You have a restrictive budget and you have to have so many other things with that.
Right.
So that's like one challenging thing. But otherwise, definitely it comes with a load of exploring and a load of expansive vision.
Do you think that this restrictive budget also put a restriction in you for your creativity?
Uh, Definitely yes, because what happens is you're not able to put in 100%. Definitely, you can work out. You can have options to it,
Right.
but something that's going to give you for example, a value of X is going to be X and it can't be Y.
Mhm.
So when you are asked to do the thing for X in Y, it gets very difficult.
Right.
So you cannot give 100% output. For example, a stone is going to be a stone and a laminate is going to be a laminate. You cannot have a laminate with the comparison of stone. That's like a basic example that I'm giving. But sometimes when you have a restrictive budget, you tend to lose out on the actual materials, and then maybe compromise the materials in terms, or have certain spaces designed or developed in other way. So yeah, budget definitely plays a lot of importance, but there are ways to tackle it, like we say.
Right. And obviously, and it's interesting your answer, because a lot of your colleagues in the community, they feel that designing for residential business, particularly private houses, they are able to express themselves more, because somebody building a 25, 30,000 square foot house, it's not a question of budget, it's a question of uniqueness and personalization.
So that's why I mentioned that we do luxury homes only for a particular reason, because we are able to express ourselves, because we are able to create what we actually think. And there is no restriction of you are not supposed to do this because you have a refrained thing or a budget issue. So that's why I feel when you're trying to give justice to the client, it's not the budget, it's just the spaces that you show, and then how you deal with is a secondary process. So
Right.
yes, and every residence, for me, I like the residences more, honestly.
From the face of it, I can see it. Ooh, all the passion is coming out. You speak your residencies,
Because
you
it's
shine.
more relatable. One, it's more personal. and it's more context driven. So something that is going to give you a story in itself, you're going to be knowing a person more altogether. And that's how it's interesting also to build in those spaces. So yeah.
But let me ask you, because what I admire in what you do, guys, is that you're sitting in front of a client. They've got big dreams in his head, ideas. He knows how this house is, but in his head.
Right.
How do you get it out and put it into context?
There are so many contextual questions. There are so many site visits. There are meetups. Unless and until you get to know the client, because he is the one, she's the one to tell you the brief. It's the story that the client is going to give. We are going to understand and we are going to put it onto a paper and then maybe, sketch it out and then going to get it to reality. So the storyteller is himself and you're just interpreting it in the perfect way that you want to exhibit. That's how we basically generate a story to it as well.
But you're like a psychologist, psychiatrist. Try to understand what you have in front of you, because it's not easy. And
it's not easy. Not everybody is outspoken. Not everybody is willing to know what is to be done. Sometimes when you're designing workspaces, people do not know what kind of things that they want, because when you're doing, for example, an office of say suppose 6,000 square feet, they do not know what kind of staff is going to be sitting where, how many people, what kind of divisions, departments, etc. So questioning them gets easier, and then you build their own brief, and with that it helps you to understand how you're going to create the space. So there are times when you have to question back and forth, and it's just the way of how you're understanding them. So unless you understand, you're not going to be able to put things up on paper, or not going to be able to do it. So that's why I said I like residences. They tell their own story, we brief it out clearly, and then that's the out product.
have you ever, of course, because you do luxury home, you work with very high profile client, and I don't know if some of these clients are public figures or people that are in the domain. So the question I have, without going to the specific, have you ever designed a home for somebody that is a public figure, so everybody see him on screen, but then actually when you meet them, you say they are completely different than the person you see on TV, but you don't see it in live.
Yeah, it happens with most of the people who we feel publicly are that they have the religion and then they are like very important in everybody's eye. But then on the inside, they are the humblest people. They know exactly what is supposed to happen when, and they are so calm. And I mean, it was a different experience. I'm not supposed to mention the name.
Of course. Yeah.
But we designed this home for a political figure.
Yes.
And this person had this huge requirement. It was a second home. You had luxury space for himself. There's going to be an out room for the guests. There's going to be out room for their horses, their stable, everything. So it was like a big stretch of land, around 2 acres of land, and only for that one horse stable. And around that, the entire thing was centric and specifically built. So he had this thing of riding and everything. And what we had in mind was how are you supposed to, so first meeting, how are you supposed to go and interact? Because what we have seen in the media is something very different than what that person was going to be there, that we understood only after the meeting. So the first meeting, we were very hesitant about how we're going to approach, how we're going to talk, or what kind of things are to be shown specifically at that time. Is it going to be, because obviously we were also on the architect checklist. There were multiple architects that had been approached. So how do you get that exact thing and how do you crack that idea? So there's this little thing of understanding. So in our first meeting, we just went blank without anything, and it was just a chat. And that chat got a lot better with the second and third meeting, and then it just continued out to be like we were taken on board and everything was presented later. So usually what happens is we go with some kind of presentation. In this meeting, we were without the presentation. We were just talking, and it's basically the warmth that was felt, and how friendly we could get, and he could trust us. So building that trust, I feel, was very important. And yeah, it was just that.
Wow.
And it just changed the entire thing.
It's interesting because not many people, again, I'm going back, you guys are like psychologists, you have to sit in front of people and try to figure out what they want, which is not very easy because there's always husband and wife sometime, or there's a guy that very well traveled and like and they try to tell you, oh, I've seen this one there, how do you translate that?
Yeah.
And but the question I have is this. Also, in terms of materials, how do you keep yourself updated or on top of what's going on in the world of materials, technology, and that?
So a lot of it comes with the courses that I do simultaneously, because I am not only working, I'm also learning at the same
Right.
time. So a lot of courses that keeps us updated about how are the trending materials in the market, what are different materials, a lot of seminars, exhibitions that I usually love to attend. So there are times when I'm not in office, I'm busy with somebody else, with a vendor who's trying to get in something new. You're visiting China, you're visiting Europe, you're visiting everywhere else just to know how that particular material is going to be used in a particular way. And I definitely have the curiosity to do that. So while working, it's also more than travel. I feel it's more the study that comes and helps me. So that helps me a lot. And also we have this vendor meetings. We have so every Friday in our office we have this culture of everybody sitting together and getting their own one study materials. So that's how we also develop the knowledge in our firm, and it's like a growth to everybody.
Wow. It's every Friday.
Yeah, one
Oh.
material to study, one material to explore, and basically just get a hang of how to use it in the industry.
Is there a particular material you love in terms of category that you say, this is my baby, wood, marble, metal, I don't know, or textile? What is your...
I think it's going to be paper.
Really?
A lot to explore with paper, a lot to explore in terms of design, craft, artisans, work, everything.
Wow. Paper.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So a lot of things come with how hard the paper can be and how soft the paper can be. And in terms of crafts, how you're using it, in terms of partitions, how you're using it, in terms of texturing, how you're going to use, in terms of concreting, how you're going to use. So a lot of it with how paper has basically, given a lot of aesthetics as well as beauty to this industry. A lot has come from paper.
Interesting. Breaking away 1 second from technical questions, and it's a shame we haven't got Sumitra here with us. And but since I understand he's a good cook, what does he like to cook? What is his favorite dish to cook?
You give him anything and he'll keep it on the table, and it's the perfect dish that you can expect. So it gets very difficult. So before marriage, it used to be like, oh, okay, he knows to cook, so he's cooking at his home and then getting things to my house, and we were okay with it. But yeah, with cooking comes a lot of mess also. So that's something that I try to avoid, and I'd be like, no, you're good cook, be there. I don't want to help you at all.
Right. And also another passion is wildlife photography.
Yes.
What is his favorite animal?
I would say tiger. I think there are visits every 2 months to one of the national parks.
Wow.
He'll be there out there in sun, rain, wind, whatever it is, with his camera lenses, and he'll be shooting something or the other. And he has so much knowledge, honestly speaking. He knows, oh, that's the bird there. And I'd be like, oh, I can't see it. So it's just the eye and it's the interest that he has.
Do you use any of his wildlife photography to put in people houses like artwork or that?
We have done it. So one of the projects we have used is the beautifully pictured one tigress.
Wow.
And it's really beautiful, yeah.
It's very nice. I saw one in a private house in Delhi. It was a gigantic, it was enlarged photo of a leopard on a black background.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wow, there's a simple picture in a room. It was a cigar lounge. It became amazing.
Oh, nice.
And, so that's why I've asked, because wildlife photography can be fantastic artwork.
It is fantastic. And we've used it in one of our sites. It's honestly speaking, it's like an olive background, plain olive background. And then we have this one picture of tigress there. Nice. And it's beautiful. Like you said, it's just like the focal point. And yeah, you can see that Soumitra Bhatkarkar photography is written on it. So yeah.
Now, I want to turn to a topic that is interesting. Everybody talks about, but I'm not sure how many practice it because uh, in some of our interviews across the country, I was asking all your colleagues about sustainability, and how much client ask about this topic in general.
Honestly speaking, clients are aware about it, but given the scenarios of time and context, not everyone would want to, even if they want to, not everyone can do it. So it's us how we educate them, how we guide them, how we basically put forth our ideas on this topic, and how we convince them. Simplest use of the materials in maybe like the partition walls, also how it is going to impact. Simple use of how electronics gadgets can be used in terms of their rating, their consumption, etc. So there's one house that we designed wherein we have this open terrace, a 300 square feet terrace. It's a small terrace, but then we have covered it with solar panels. So a little approach on that front on how we can basically guide them makes it easier. It wouldn't be 100% or an 80% sustainable house, but somewhere we try around to be at least 50% sustainable. Because obviously it's important and everything given into consideration, we have to be aware about how things are going on in the industry.
Interesting. It was the same feeling. Everybody had the same answer. Everybody's aware of. Everybody, try to do their best. But it's not a topic that
It's
is being
not a
pushed.
100% thing that is still achievable. Definitely, we're trying our ways out to reach to whatever maximum potential we can. We are trying to make clients aware about it. And there are few people who are really interested in it and they want to know more. So somewhere we also brainstorm and use materials accordingly.
Yeah. Now, and another area that I was very surprised to learn is the fact that styling. Okay, and I was horrified to learn this. You're doing very luxury houses, multiple assets, so probably you very deep dive into the subject. But particularly in hospitality, the styling becomes like the last minute thing, and they don't think about that.
So major problem happens with budgeting, like I said. So many other categories that styling is the last thing to do. And then you do not have that much of a budget.
Right.
And it's a chaos. You source things from here and there, and then basically to make a space look beautiful and aesthetic, you have to have props, you have to have materials, you have to have artisans, craftsmanship, everything be seen. So for that to happen, you need to allocate that much of the budget, not keep it at the end. But I think it's somewhere where you have to start thinking about styling from the day one of your project, about what corner is going to reflect what kind of thing and what styling would be required for it, because it's ultimately the client who is going to maintain it and how we give it up to them. So it's basic things like bed styling. You need to think about what layers and what textures of fabrics are going to go on the bed in terms of how it's going to coordinate with other things around. So definitely something that we also look into our projects when we design, that styling is a part and parcel with design. So it can't be a separate element that can come at the very end of the project.
It's like a woman without lipstick. you know, Still natural beauty, but a lipstick is a bit of a, cherry on top of the cake. But and when you're designing these luxury homes, when it comes to styling, is the client more involved in that part, or they let you lead the way on that?
So our strategy is a little different opposed to what maybe other people would be doing in the industry. We hand over the project after styling is over with everything intact, and then the keys are given to the client. So they are well aware about how things are going to happen because we also show them the realistic views. A lot happens, I would say 99% happens as per the views. And that's how when we do the very end things also, we have everything in control because we have the budgeting and allocations of things from the day one. So sometimes the client would want to have artifacts which are already, there from their ancestral times, and sometimes they want to have something that they've traveled and got back. So everything happens at the day one of the meeting, or I'm sorry, in the questionnaire of the meeting, where we understand what kind of artifacts are going to come, what kind of decor items are going to come, what kind of styling would be required given the spaces, given the areas. So then we design accordingly. And whatever artifacts are supposed to be given, we take them before we keep it, and then everything is styled together, and then the house keys are handed over. So yeah, it's a mutual process, but more like we do it ourselves and then we hand it over.
For these young designers that are coming through the ranks now, graduated recently, what is the best advice you can give them?
If they're very passionate about what they want to create and build, then nothing can stop them. But that passion is something that I feel must be there. That zest of doing something should be there. Otherwise, you won't survive. There's so much competition in the industry.
Well, India is big. The world is big. There's a lot to design.
So honestly speaking, India has the best potential to explore and to create.
What is that?
It's a vast country. It has so many contradictory, traditional, cultural things happening around in the country. There is so much exposure, there's so much influence, and also at the same time, there's so much scope. There are so many people, so many homes to build, so many places that still need infrastructure development, that still need a lot of things. We are a developing country, of course, so I think a lot to explore in India.
Developing country, you well-developed country. There's more billionaires in here than there is in any other part of the planet. It's not a developing country. But I want to ask you this: the person who was here before you, he said something that stood in my mind, that I'm not a designer, so I'm just passionate about listening about you guys and the great things you do. And he said, before I die, I want to attempt to define what Indian design is. Because he said there's Italian design, there is European design. I want to define what Indian design is. What is Indian design for you?
When I say Indian design, there's a lot of... So like I said, now the market is running towards influences from West, influences from a lot of different countries, but what is in the roots? So when I say that I am a keen person to design something from the roots is context. So highlighting these things, basic things of using the materials which are available in our surroundings and getting them into a beautiful style and beautiful architectural style, I think something that is rooted in your context should never go. Even though the spaces can be minimal, can be modern, influential, etc., but something that is rooted in your context cannot go. A simple home without using your regular textures and colors can come up with stones which are locally produced. So at the same time, you're being sustainable, you're being contextual, you're having your Indian rooted things happening. So it's more about how you develop within the context and not get influenced by what other countries are doing.
Wow. Interesting. It's because India is big and you have, 25 states, and it's massive. And but now, the day, it's going to be a very long way away, but because you guys still young and we're all still young. And the day that you decide to do something else, because you say, your kids are growing up or whatever, and you create other passions, how would you like to be remembered in your profession?
Anybody who is going to be famous is going to be known. I want to be remembered for the work I do, for the contextual reflections in the society. It's something that I'm looking for people to know that, yeah, somebody who has done something, who has given something to the environment, given something to the design industry, built up some trademarks. So definitely something that is given back to the society is how I am supposed to be remembered.
And if you go back to the young Sharmin, what the more experienced Sharmin tell the young Sharmin before starting anything?
I think I should have not slept more. I should have had the curiosity to learn more, travel more, I mean, It's just that the young Sharmin should have explored a little more than what she was in the brackets of only oriented to her routine.
Well, you've done a lot, guys. Again, you done so much listening to you. All the beautiful
There's so much
projects.
to
What did you say?
research.
28 projects?
28.
Now. So, but you didn't start yesterday. So, how many projects you done? More than 100 plus.
I hope so.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. So, and final question. If I put a giant white canvas on top of the Burj Khalifa, which is the tallest building on the planet, so everybody can see it, what message would you write in that?
Explore. That would be my thing. Explore.
You guys remain very truthful who you are, because in your website you say that we irradiate curiosity and innovation.
Yeah.
Very true. And exploring is all about this. So well done. Very truthful to what you write in your website. So
It's something that our firm is reflecting in its way. So basically, who we are is reflected on our website and also in the work that we do.
it's very true. Whatever you said today is reflected in all your literature, social media, very consistent. There is no misleading, very true, and it's amazing because, you guys are who you are, what you see is what you get.
Oh my God, thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Pleasure to
Thank
do
you.
this.